Hi, everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Kayla with Galliano Realty, and this is my Big Easy Home where I share all of the best things about New Orleans with you. And I am here today with Midori Tajiri. Thank you so much for talking to me. Midori is a makeup artist here in New Orleans. So, Midori, why don't you tell everybody what kind of services you provide?
Oh, well, thanks for having me.
Yeah.
It's so great to be with you.
Thank you.
In addition to being a makeup artist, which is how I think most people know me, I love doing makeup. In addition to that, I do makeup instruction and classes with people. I love doing natural beauty as well as fantasy makeup and costumes and body painting. And when I'm not doing makeup and painting people up, I also do costumes and art and all kinds of creative things. Just
Awesome.
I just
Multi-dimensional.
I think
art
I'm just
expression.
really caught up in the idea of transformation. So anything that revolves around being able to help people transform into alter egos or their fantasy selves is really
I love that.
it's really a beautiful idea to me.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And I've seen your work and it's gorgeous.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, a lot of the kind of fantasy avant-garde stuff that you do is just so amazing to me. And I should take some classes with you because I wear a little bit of makeup, not much, but I've tried to watch YouTube makeup tutorials, and then I feel like I always look like I'm on Nailed It. Do you know that show where you so Nailed It, the show where you try to recreate something artistic and then you
Or cake fails.
yes,
I
cake
love
fails,
it.
exactly that exact thing. So that's great.
But I feel like it's not about trying to make it perfect. When we do classes, it's the same thing. I think that anyone can learn to do anything if you're motivated to do it. And exercising the muscles in your hand or as you practice, it's all just like learning to run or do a sport. It's just muscle memory. So
Yeah.
I think that anyone can learn to do those things if you want to. Not to be intimidated by stuff, and also the idea that in order to learn to do something, you have to get your mistakes out. So when I practice stuff with people when we're doing classes, I encourage people to get those mistakes out, because in order to get to be good, you have to get your mistakes out. So get those nailed it moments out and those
Yeah.
cake fail moments out, because if you can get those out in class or in the privacy of your own home, or when you don't have to be somewhere in 5 minutes. Great, get those practice moments out, get those cake fails moments out, because then when you have to get something, you have to be somewhere, whatever, then you'll have gotten to your beauty moments or your fantasy moments faster, whatever.
Yeah, you have the pattern now.
But
and
don't be
you're-
intimidated by the
Yeah.
times that you feel like, ugh, it didn't work, whatever.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
encouraging.
Mhm.
I like that. Thank you. When did you first discover or fall in love with makeup?
Early childhood, because to me, makeup isn't about beauty, it's about transformation. So the idea that, you wear makeup for yourself and not for other people is strong, because it isn't about beauty or societal ideals for me. Makeup is something that I picked up as a child in order to paint your face, in order to be other people, in order to do other things. And I remember picking up my mother's little Avon makeup lipsticks as a child, and they were little tiny, they were shaped like the little tiny lipsticks, only minis, and I remember I had to be small enough to sit inside the sink in order to see the bathroom mirror. So definitely, under 5, so probably between 3 and 5, so in order to see the mirror, I had to sit in the sink. And I remember trying to put on the lipstick, and it just got bigger and bigger until it became a clown face. And after a while, I was like, you know what, this is pretty good.
Yeah.
So it was really early that I started playing with makeup, but it wasn't in order to feel, pretty necessarily. It was like, let's see how we can use these things to change the way I look. And I've always been the kid that, I'm the person whose house you come over to before you go out. I've always been like, let me, the person begging to put makeup on your face, let me put makeup on you, whether you like it or not,
Right.
Please. People in my family don't wear a lot of makeup, so I was always begging them to put makeup on them and stuff. And even now, even in my off time, my friends will tell you this, I'm always, even when I'm not working, I'm like, let me put makeup on you, let me give you a facial. I just really like doing it. So, you know, the idea that if you find a career that you would do for free or do even in your off time, I love doing it. So to me, it doesn't feel like work. But when you add in the art side, that my history, my background in art, it really ties into me seeing people as a work of art, as a structure, as a sculpture. So, you know, my love of art throughout childhood too is tied into that. So it all ties in together. So it's been, throughout life, it's just been one continuous, you know, love of all of those things tying in together. So it's just been, you know, throughout
It's like
life.
a part of you.
Yeah. I know, long answer. Right?
Yeah, no, it's great. And I love the idea of, okay, so first of all, if you ever need a canvas, call me.
I mean,
I
will.
would totally
Over.
love to just let you paint my face. But I love the idea of transformation. I was in theater for many, many years, and I loved that stepping into another life and really just like letting yourself get carried into a completely different persona, a completely different personality. And makeup was a huge part of kind of helping you really feel yourself in that space.
Yeah.
So I feel like I resonate with that, and I get that a lot.
Makeup and costumes, yeah. The minute you put something else on, whether it's a red lip or a bunch of ruffles or whatever, and you can feel that character coming out of you, even if you're not doing it for performance, even if you're just doing it at home, the joy of letting another persona live through you can be really cathartic.
It is.
And you don't have to do it for anyone else but yourself, but if you do it, you know, say at a Mardi Gras or at a ball or at a thing, that's also extra life for your character, so why not?
I love it. Yes, it's great. How did you learn? Did you just learn from trial and error? Did you?
Most of the things that I've learned have been from trial and error, from, you know, learning through life, from looking at magazines and trying things. But then you know, you can learn, and really a lot of things that I learned were from before the YouTube days. So nowadays you can learn, it's great, you can learn everything online and YouTubes and videos and tutorials. And I think it's a super great resource for most people. But before that, just looking at pictures and trying to recreate them, getting books where they have the breakdown of things, the old, like the Kevin Aquan books and any of those makeup books where they break down the steps, and trying them, you know, trying them on different people's faces, because every face and bone structure and skin texture is different. So, you know, if you're someone who's trying to be a makeup artist who knows how to do it on different faces, trying them on not just your face, but other types of faces and skins is really important. So, you know, just trial and error, most of those. But you know, to do it professionally, you do have to take the classes and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But that's mostly to learn, you know, your procedural things for sanitation and lice and stuff, but the techniques of things you're going to learn in real life, you know, or through workshop classes and stuff like that. So you're going to learn that hands-on by doing.
Like most things, I think you learn the most by just kind of diving in.
And just diving in and doing it and doing those. You know, they say like it takes 10,000 hours to be a genius at anything. It's just doing the time and doing it. And the other thing, like when people say they're intimidated to learn something, you'll learn the most of things by feeling the materials, just like with your artwork. Once you understand how the materials are likely to behave, meaning your art materials, which will be your makeup, your pigments, and your brush, and how they're likely to behave, you'll get a better understanding of how they'll behave on a face. So dry materials versus a creamy material, and then you can understand how they'll behave when you use them. So same thing like when you're painting, if you understand how like a tempera paint versus an oil paint, you'll have a much better understanding of how they behave on a canvas. So getting used to using those is just going to happen by doing them. And, you know, behaving with the materials. So.
And you mentioned Kevin Aquan. So just for anybody who doesn't know who he was a very famous, very successful makeup artist who is from Louisiana. From I think Breaux Bridge, so kind of my part of Louisiana. He was a native of that area. So I'm glad you mentioned him. That's great to give him a shout. He is. So you don't just do makeup, you do a lot of different types of art. And I'm just curious, from an artistic perspective, do you see makeup as more like painting, or is it more sculptural, or both?
I think it's different things for different people, and I think that's what I love. It can be something as just functional as something that you use during the day to get you through your day, to primp, to it can be just a functional thing, or it can be a complete fantastical art concept that's completely frivolous, or it can be whatever. So, um, you know, having that as your tool is what I think is so liberating. So seeing it only from a one-sided concept really does it a disservice, and thinking of it only as a frivolous decorative tool also it does it a disservice. But knowing that you have that tool, and as a person you can if you learn to put on makeup, then you are in the driver's seat of always being in control of how you present yourself to the world, whether you choose to do it or not. Because I have many no makeup days, and I think that it's really important to give your skin and your face a break, and also to give your whole psyche and your mind a break, and yourself a break, so that you know that who you are as a person, you feel comfortable with in the world, and presenting yourself to the world, that you don't feel like you have to be in makeup to present yourself to the world. And I think it's important to live like that. But it's also important to know that you can be in control of whoever you want. And one day, if you want to be super glamorous, if you want to be an albino space dragon,
right.
And go to the grocery store like that, you can do that too.
And you can do that here. That's one thing I love about New Orleans.
So, but if you have the tools to do any of those things, it's very liberating to know that you can do those. And also in business, if you need to present yourself as more groomed or polished in order to feel more powerful, whatever those aspects of things that you need to do when you feel in control of them is extremely liberating, especially the older that you get, not feeling like you don't have control of those. But again, also feeling like, you can also go through the world with no makeup and proud and comfortable is important too. And I would completely advocate for both sides of the coin. And I think it's important to be both sides of those people, and remind yourself of the importance of both. But that said, I really feel like for me, makeup is mostly an artistic choice. Having had a history in, we all have our insecurities growing up. So I feel like having grown up with that, there are times when I've used it because I felt like, if I feel insecure, if I change my features, will I feel better about myself? And I feel like that's a never-ending cycle, because you're never going to feel better that way. So as an adult, I grew into somebody who I don't necessarily feel like I need to use those tools to feel better, but I love feeling like I have the artistic ability now to just create characters or personas that are interesting to me and live within those, or eschew it altogether and not do that. But when I look at other people, I always see the sculptural artistic quality of bone structure, and when I see strangers too, it's hard for me to not get excited about, ooh, look at this beautiful,
You're like making people up in your mind.
I'm always giving people mental makeovers because I love seeing bone structured cheekbones and whatever. And whenever I paint a face, to me, it's always painting a sculpture. I'm always painting a sculpture and looking at bone structure first and skin quality. And I'm always, when I'm doing makeup, I'm always painting the sculpture first. Especially if it's a model and we're bringing something out. If I'm working with a client, I'm working with their wishes first, obviously. But I always see it as an art piece first, and something to be realized through that. But that's just my perspective.
I love that. Yeah, and just going back, I'll say for myself, getting to a point in my life where I did feel comfortable walking out of the house with a bare face and not feeling like I had to do that was hugely liberating for me.
Yeah.
And even doing these videos, when I started, it's like I had to tell myself, don't just go as you are. Don't even worry about how much makeup you have on, or because if you start that, then you're always going to be trapped in feeling like you're not good enough, or you're not presented right, And there's a loss of freedom
Yeah.
in that. And so I would say for me, getting to that point where I was just like, I have good skin and I look how I look, and like, it's fine.
And honestly, that's a mental prison of your own making.
Yes.
Because nobody has told you that you need to put on eyebrows that day or, mascara. It's a prison that you thought, oh, do I need to do this because I saw in a magazine or someone told me I needed to have this feature? But the truth is, when you go out without that feature on your face, nobody has turned to you and been like,
right, yes,
whatever, and it's like, whenever we do that thing, like, some people are like, oh, my signature red lip, or I always have this brow, whatever, but when you don't do it, it's not like somebody at the grocery store has turned you away and melted their face or whatever. Probably nobody noticed. And nobody noticed but you. But we create these prisons in our mind that if we don't present ourselves in a certain way, our identity is somehow skewed, or a part
our value
of us
is skewed.
a part of our identity is somehow washed away. And it's always coming through that lesson, you get like some amazing lesson in identity and liberation. And then also you get to like, oh, maybe I have a new persona that I can now I still have like lipstick identity, but now I can have this new person who's like, I don't do that anymore.
Right.
And you can have both though, whatever. But
and you can go, like, some days I'll just like mascara and lipstick.
Yeah.
And that's it.
And also
I just feel I feel pretty like that, and it's good enough,
I like also thinking back to a time when you felt so comfortable without that, and thinking like finding that confidence again, and just using that. Like, there was a time before all this when I didn't need to have a makeup armor on, and how do I use that confidence, but still add in things of myself that I like now, like the age that you were before you ever wore makeup, and how confident you felt then, and use that person and that confidence, but now with adult pieces that you like about yourself now, and throw those in the mix. Like for me, when I was 11, and that was the last time I felt confident that I could fly, that I could walk on any beach and wear a bathing suit, and that I didn't feel weird and whatever. And find that age, and then be like, okay, now I can, like, I'll just have this lip gloss and go to the beach and carry my keys, and I don't need anything else.
Tap into that. My personal experience is that letting go of those self-inflicted restrictions is hugely beneficial for one's mental health and sense of well-being.
Also, because I feel like I'm cognizant of not wanting to role model those insecurities for younger people around me, and that I don't want to repeat those words or whatever, those self-deprecating things that we might say in the presence of young people, so that they don't ingrain that into their psyche. So,
because they do.
They
really do. Personalize those things quite a bit.
Or even our friends, like, we don't want to say something around my friends that they might begin to like create insecurities around, because truthfully we probably don't even feel those insecurities anymore. We just say them because our mother said them or somebody else said them, and like, who needs them? Whatever.
I have a friend who told me a story one time. She was having drinks or something with somebody, and she had like varicose vein, or a vein that was visible, God forbid, and the woman was like, you can do something about that. And she was like, I didn't even know that was a problem. Like, I didn't even know I had that until this like random person pointed it out to me. And so, we do unconsciously kind of, do that to each other, even when we aren't trying to. So, what's your favorite thing about being a makeup artist?
Oh, my favorite thing really is the joy that someone gets when they look at themselves in the mirror and are really happy with themselves. The idea that I get to be a part of someone's life when they feel good about themselves in that way, it never ends. It never ends. There's a part, because if I've been able to bring someone to a level that they weren't able to get themselves, that they now feel that boost of feeling good about themselves, is something so joyous that I'm not able to get in other parts of my life, and that I feel like I can't do, that they might not have had otherwise. Years ago, when I was doing a career change, and I was really at sea about looking for my purpose in life. And I feel like a lot of people too, like we were talking earlier about like different career changes, and a lot of people who are looking for their purpose, and you think, what am I good at? What are my, we tend to look at like our resume history and think like, what are my pros and cons, whatever. We tend to think of like things that you list on your resume that you're good at or whatever. And I decided to think about not resume type of thick qualities, but what am I really good at in life? But if it was something that I couldn't list on a resume. So I thought the only thing that I know that I'm really, really good at in life is making people feel good about themselves. And it's not necessarily through makeup, but in a person quality, I feel like I'm really good at making people feel good about themselves. Yeah. And I thought if I can just transfer that quality into whatever I do in life as a career, then if I focus on that energy, then that will be successful. And because I love doing makeup so much, if I focus on that energy through the makeup, then that's something that I can be successful at. Because I love people, and I love making people feel good about themselves, and I love makeup. So when I can blend that and come up with a result that someone looks in the mirror and feels really good about themselves, and particularly when it's an angle that they have not been able to successfully achieve on their own, it's such a great feeling, and that I was able to help them get there. And whether it's on their wedding day, or it is a transformational look, or it is a costume or a fantasy look or a photo shoot, whatever it is, like seeing someone have that first glimpse in a mirror is something that you can never replace. And particularly when someone's doing makeup or a specialty day, they're usually with me because it's a special day. So it never is lost on me that they're with me on a very special day, and I take that seriously, because if it's a wedding or a special day, usually everyone else there is family or a loved one or something special to them. I'm usually the only one who's not related or close to them, so I take my presence seriously, and I know that it's an honor to be there. So, in their wedding photos, why am I the person there? I take it seriously that my role is an honorable one, and that I don't want to overstep my boundaries, and I'm thankful to be there. So, I take it seriously that my role is important.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And what a gift to be able to provide that, like helping people feel good about themselves.
It's a gift.
It is a gift. And there's so many spaces in our world where people are tearing each other down. And so to really be able to step into that positivity and projecting that and helping other people find that within themselves, it's really, really beautiful.
And I think also that's why I don't necessarily look at this as a job or as a cutthroat biz or something that I really market and put out there as a something so high pressure as a business, because it's not ever going to be something that I need to push like that. This is more like a meaningful role in my life and other people's life that I touch in that way, and that's more important to me, to keep it on that level, because I think that's where my role is at in people's lives. So yeah.
And I think it fills your own cup a lot more than if you were striving or competing. Those things can be so draining.
That's, other people are doing that kind of thing, and that's where different types of businesses run in different ways, and that's that's not where I see my energy being best used right now. I think I just want to touch the lives that I touch. Yeah.
I think that I feel that too, even in like real estate. It's so easy to get caught up in the money or in competing. It can be a very cutthroat kind of thing, and it's like finding the joy and finding the reward in just being a part of people getting to that next step in their life that they want to be, or facilitating them attaining a goal that they've had for a long time, and taking the joy and the reward from that. Like being a part of that is what makes this fun, and is what makes this something that I want to do.
Totally, because I feel like having been in the business to this point in my life and working in it in different capacities, I've done the hustle for a long time. I've worked in different types of aspects of the makeup industry, and being able to now kind of choose the role that I want to take in it. It's more important to me to take a meaningful role and work in the capacity that's meaningful to me, rather than just try to work in a big business or have employees or do something like that. I think having a meaningful role and take meaningful clients is more important to me in the long run. So I like taking it from this angle. And I in the past, in the several years, especially pre-COVID times, I was much more in the hustle and working so many hours, and I feel like there's a place for that in the world, but I don't feel like that's my place right now.
Yeah.
I feel like picking and choosing and taking these specific clients and places that are meaningful is really becoming more like cultivating a garden that it'll show its meaning also in the future to me. So
yeah. I think that was the hidden gift to COVID. Like, as difficult as it was for a lot of people, there also was in that an opportunity to take some stock.
Yeah.
And decide where the value really is for you.
Yeah.
For each of us individually. And I think that was kind of a gift that it gave us in a way. Yeah.
Like choosing how you want to cultivate your garden as you move forward.
I love that imagery. Yeah. I'm going to use that.
Yeah.
I'm going to cultivate my garden.
Yeah.
Very thoughtfully.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah.
So I've seen, just in my 30 some odd years, or what have you, of being somebody who wears makeup, seen some changes in kind of the industry as far as being more animal friendly, being more eco-conscious, myself consciously looking for products that are cleaner, really thinking about what am I putting on my skin and what effect is that having. And then I think socially, we're sort of seeing a revolution in makeup, in that we're kind of changing the definition of who makeup is for and who makeup is not for.
Yeah.
And I that's exciting. I like that. And I'm curious what changes you see, if those are things that you've noticed, and what you would hope to see for the future of our relationship with makeup.
I mean, for me, makeup has always been for all people, and has always been, for me, makeup has always been no rules. I always say in my classes too that the only time makeup has rules is if you want it to look natural. Then you can look at how nature presents you colors and color combinations and things that happen in nature. So if you want it to look natural, then you can follow the course of how things look in nature. But otherwise, there's no rules to nature, because it's your tools and your artistic tools to use however you want to use. And I love being surprised by things. I love when people break the rules and break them creatively and excite you with them.
Me too.
I
love a good rebellion.
Yeah, exactly. Whether it's color combinations or things, or the use of products, or using them in different ways. That's exciting, and I think true artists are always using things in unusual ways or changing the rules. And humans have been adorning their bodies since time began. Animals adorn their bodies, so it's not unusual for any type of person to adorn their body in some different kind of way. And so our history with adorning our body in human history, and as we've done it with modern makeup, is really just a minuscule blip in history. So the fact that we would have rules about how we adorn our body is really just a short blip in history. So the fact that makeup now is allowing, they're allowing in the way that they advertise now to show different people using makeup is great. Not just in showing, makeup being beautiful in different ways, but they're showing, masculine men who might use cover-up or beard grooming or different things, but also, Korean boy, pretty eye makeup, guy liner, as well as if you want to just have like a full face of glam makeup, like a James Charles type of look, or different types of Jeffree Star type of glam looks and different things. So there can be any type of full glam or different types of looks that you can see on any type of gendered body, and I think it's fantastic. Any YouTube person who's putting on and getting creative with stuff, I think it's really fun to see anyone using makeup in a creative way, I'm all for it. Any class that I have that is always open to whoever wants to come. And I also encourage any age level to come to my classes. If people want to come and that people have come with their parent or whatever, I encourage people of any age group to start experimenting with it, because it's just makeup, it's just painting your face. I love that, and I think it should be encouraged. It's just, it's just adorning your face and body, and there's nothing, life-changing about that, so there shouldn't be anything earth-shattering or upsetting about the way people order that. And also, the world and the industry should be happy to sell more products. So, right?
Absolutely.
Selling more products and more industry, whatever. So people should be happy that commerce is moving. Yeah. Whatever.
Very good point. I like it.
But also in terms of, in terms of clean stuff, I mean, there's been a bunch of trends in terms of different products. I love going to different expos and things. Before COVID, one of the last expos I went to was the Indie Beauty Expo, and they had a bunch of different trend things at the time, which of course were all the CBD products, but also clean beauty, which, when they use terminology, it can be confusing when it's just a wide term. But in general, clean beauty will be something that will usually be green or sustainable or organic, but you'll want to read your box and read your labels and stuff to know that what you're getting is what you're getting. So I always encourage people to read the labels and read the ingredients and stuff. But just like with food, the shorter the ingredient list, the better. Yeah. The more things you can pronounce, the better. Definitely using things with sunscreen and all that kind of stuff, but also the packaging, the boxes and everything, the more clean the better. So definitely encouraging those. And I think that just like with eating, for me, the fewer chemicals that you put on your skin and in your body, it's more about the preservatives and the chemicals and everything. And I think that you'll find that over time your body is really reacting better for those things as well. But total combination of those. Health trends, yes, as well as gender and equality trends, yes, for makeup, wholeheartedly. I think all people should be able to wear and adorn their body however they see fit. Yeah. Completely. Yeah. And I think that as a trend and upswing, for sure, for future generations are definitely adhering to it more than anything. But I also have clients who are older people who come to me, and whether it's their gender differences, or they're looking to live differently, but they can only do it in private, and they want to have their makeup done, and then only live in private, and then they're not out in their real world. People will come to me for makeup, and I'm happy to do it. I'm happy to do it for my trans clients. I'm happy to do it for my different gender different people, whatever. I'm happy to do it all. I love it, and I encourage it all the time.
Yeah. Talking to you, I'm really getting a sense of makeup as being, like you said, a part of self-adornment, and that being a very self-reverential exercise. Yeah. Instead of, I have to wear this makeup so that I look this certain way, or I'm not pretty without it, but really looking at it as, I am going to just beautify myself because I'm beautiful. And that is an outward expression of, I gotta chill, of that inner self-love.
Yeah. I mean, I think so one of my favorite things to do, and this is before COVID times and everything, is I would like to do a Midori Date, which would be putting on your favorite music, maybe have, your spa night or whatever, put on a movie that you like. And whether you're doing a spa, doing a facial, whatever, but you could also, I like to dress up for the movie I like to watch. So maybe I would watch Auntie Mame, and then maybe put on a fun eye, and just put on makeup for yourself and watch the movie. You don't, so dressing up for your show, whatever, but doing a practice like that, and it doesn't have to be makeup or a thing, but doing a date for yourself, with yourself, where you dress up for yourself, maybe you have a meal with yourself, but doing something for yourself where your whole date is about yourself. And makeup or some type of treat for yourself is part of that, where you are telling yourself that you're beautiful in whatever way that is meaningful to you. But makeup being a part of that, if that's part of the exercise, is just like, I'm wearing this for myself. I feel like doing a glamorous smoky eye and watching, you know, a Betty Davis movie, and, you know, or maybe that's the time that you practice your look. It's like, I'm gonna watch all my old Betty Davis movies and practice my smoky eye, and maybe that's a good time to practice all your smoky eye, and like, oh, that one didn't work. Put time for the next Betty Davis movie, and then put on another one. I mean, sometimes that's the best way to like put on those shows and practice your looks, and then you're just doing it for yourself and whatever. So yeah,
I love that.
Absolutely.
Where are you from originally?
I was born in Chicago.
Okay.
Actually born in Evanston, but lived in Chicago growing up, and then moved around a lot. So I spent some teenage years. I lived in LA, and then I lived in South Beach for a while, and then I lived in LA again, then I lived in Chicago again. I have family in Amsterdam, so I've spent time with them, and then I have family on both coasts in New York and LA. And then I lived, after college, I lived in Mexico for a year, and then where else? And then, you know, I've traveled, I had a study abroad in Ireland, and then I stayed with my family overseas again after that for a while, and then I was back in Chicago, and then for several years, and then I came here. So.
What was your, what called you to New Orleans? I'm just curious.
Long story. There's so many facets of this story. The Cliff's Notes is I was in a relationship that I needed to leave, and I was working remotely, so of my past lives. So when I was talking about my career changes, I used to be in marketing. I was in marketing. I was a marketing director in architecture for like 12 years. And then I switched to IT, so I was working, I was a marketing director for an IT company for 2 years.
Wow.
And
that seems so, well, not marketing necessarily, but the IT seems so, I don't know, a counterpoint to the like the artistic side of you.
Well, it's still marketing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was still marketing, so I was doing more like graphic and web design and stuff like that. So, and I was able to do it remotely because it was an IT company. So one of my rules is when you can live anywhere, you should live anywhere. And so since I was working remotely, it was like, I can live anywhere.
Yeah.
So, and my relationship was like, people, when you need to relieve a relationship, you should. And also I was working remotely.
I concur.
I was like, time to go. So I put all my stuff in storage, and I rented a car, and I was like, I picked a place. And, my grandfather had ties here in the past, and so, I mean, do you want the rest of the story?
I mean, if you want to tell it.
Okay,
sure.
So my sister and her book club had been reading Eat, Pray, Love.
Okay.
And I know it's cheesy, but like in that book, there is and the book is better than the film.
Yes, I agree. The book is much better. If you've seen the movie and you haven't read the book, read the book.
But there's a line in the book about how every city has its own word. And you have your own word as a descriptor, and so if your word doesn't match your city, you'll never really vibe with living there.
Yeah, I agree.
And sometimes your word used to match, but it doesn't match anymore.
Yeah.
So I was like, where I was living was Chicago, and I felt like, well, what's Chicago's word and what's my word? And I felt like they didn't match anymore. So I felt like, what would Chicago's word be? Industry? I was like, geez, I don't know if my word is industry. That doesn't sound, I don't think that matches up. So what would my word be? And I felt like my word would be celebration. And not like woohoo to party all the time, maybe, but like more like I like to celebrate things and people, and so like if you like a food, you want like, hey, everyone taste this food, I love it. I meet a new person, like, oh, my new friend, everyone meet my new friend. I like to celebrate people and celebrate what I love and share those things that I love with people. I like to celebrate life. And I was like, well, where in the world would be that? And I was like, oh,
perfect.
Orleans.
Yeah,
I'll go there.
definitely.
So, and this is like over 10 years ago. So I drove down, and I was like, I will rent an apartment, and if I like it, I'll stay. And so I looked at like 20 apartments, and then I went back to the first one I looked at, and I met a real estate agent who drove me back on the round in the back of their Vespa,
Yeah.
and I was like, sure.
I need to get a Vespa. That's what
I've never
that's
met.
what I'm
Yeah,
hearing.
and I'm like, sure, man, I've never met. I'll just
Right.
jump on the back of your Vespa and drive around a city. It's probably fine. It's probably fine. It's probably fine. Mm-hmm.
Feels very New Orleans. To
I
me.
mean, and like some of the places we drove past, I was like, huh, I left a very questionable relationship to drive around in the back of this Vespa with a person I don't know. Past really questionable spots in New Orleans. I was like, can't be no worse than the relationship I just left,
Well,
so I guess this is going to be fine.
That's a good perspective to have.
Listen,
I've been in that situation
the
also.
things that
so
I've
I
skated through
can
in still
relate,
life,
yeah.
so I was like, this will be fine.
Yeah.
And it was fine. And guess
Yeah.
what? It was fine.
It's fine.
It was fine.
What's your favorite thing about living here?
People, the community, hands down the community, because of all the places that I've lived in, no matter how long I've lived there and what I've done and who I love there, the community here will save you every time. The community that I've built here and that I have here is the strongest and the best community. I have met some of the best women of my life here, the most creative, strongest culture, and the most creative, strongest community, artistic community, female community. The women who I've met here are the strongest and most creative, and it's like the best community I've ever had. And it's that which is making me really stay and never want to leave. And that's what I've held to. Every time there's some issue or some tragedy, and we all have those moments, we're like, that's it.
Yeah.
This is whatever. I can't stand it anymore. I'll leave. First of all, I'll never leave. Whatever. But we all have those moments where like, whatever happened? And then something magical will happen. So I call it my like magic math. For every tragic thing that happens, probably 5 magical things happen. So whenever, for me, as long as the math still outweighs the tragedy, the magic math, then you're still here. So it's like, oh no, this tragedy. Oh, but all those magical things. So your community is still here is the strongest and the most supportive. And that's why I also try to be a really strong and supportive community, because I know that the tragedies always still happen, and the things and the human things that we all go through. And so I also try to be that for people so that we can keep that strong community, because I've never had that anywhere. You know, so I think that's the best thing we have going here, and we have to keep feeding into it so that we all can keep benefiting from it.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I was mentioning to you that one of my objectives with this whole project is getting to the root of what makes New Orleans and what makes New Orleans special, and I think that's a big part of it. You know, I lived on the West Coast for a little while, and I'm from Southwest Louisiana, and it was a huge culture shock to be in a community where people were just a little bit more reserved and not quite so open with themselves and with each other, and being able to strike up a conversation with anybody, anywhere, you know, was something that I missed desperately. And I think that we do have a strong community. And I think that tragedy probably has a lot to do with that. You know, I think you suffer through weather and different types of difficult times with people, and nothing bonds you more than sort of those collective challenges and difficult experiences. And I think it does make people stronger. And I think that it has made our community really strong, and it's something that I really value about being here also. And my word for New Orleans is permissive. This has been my word since I got here. And I think one of the words for myself is freedom. And I feel like those two things really do go good together. And I just love that you can be anybody you want here. I love honest self-expression. And I feel like New Orleans really is a place that allows people to be whoever they want to be. Like, I look kind of vanilla on the outside, but I have like a weirdo freak in me. You know?
It's always the quiet one.
And that part of me needs a place to exist and be loved and be allowed. You know, and it's not something that I have experienced everywhere that I've lived. And that's something that I really appreciate about about being here. She's like, be who you are.
Yeah.
Like, don't pretend. Don't put on a false face.
Yeah.
Like, put your mask on at Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
And the rest of the time, just like be yourself.
Yeah.
And I feel allowed to do that here, and I love that about
Yeah,
this town.
I agree, and I think it's also like a supportive quality because it's a less judgmental.
Yeah.
I would say is less judgmental in its support in the sense that when people express themselves artistically or whether it's costume or artistically or in any sense like that, like there are other places where whether it's a costume or art, people are like to say, that's not art, or you're doing it wrong. Mm-hmm. Whereas here, even if someone's decorating their front porch with glitter and macaroni, no one's going to say, that's not art. They're going to be like, oh, good for you, Mr. Jones. Go put more macaroni. That's great. Look at that glitter. You tried. That's awesome.
Yeah.
No one's going to like judge the way you did it. They'd be like, wow, that's a great macaroni porch.
Yes.
Nice glitter job. You know what I mean? And I love the fact that people will be supportive of whoever's efforts, whatever the way they did it, you know, and you know, learn from it and do like, wow, you know, maybe I should be using more macaroni on my porch. Yeah. I don't know. That turned out pretty good.
Yeah. The only expectation is be yourself.
Yeah. And there's less judgment and scorn behind that kind of stuff. It'll be more like, you know, support and excitement and whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Live and let macaroni, I guess.
Yeah, I love it. That's my new motto.
Hashtag live and let macaroni.
Live and let macaroni. Tell everybody where they can find you on the internet, social media.
Oh, great. Well, I have a couple different accounts. If you just look up Midori Tajiri, you'll probably find it. I'm probably the only Midori, if Midori in New Orleans, but Midori Tajiri. So my accounts are Midori_stories and Midori Tajiri on Instagram. My makeup page is Midori Makeup Artistry. I had to think about that for a minute. So on Instagram, it's Midori Makeup Artistry, Midori Tajiri, and Midori_stories. So my name is spelled Midori. Last name is Tajiri. And it's the same for Facebook. And then if you want to look at my drag persona, it's Liberace, which is...
Yes, I do. I do want to. I love that so much.
Live Raunchy, Raunchy. So it's a foppish bow queen who is of indeterminate age or gender from space, who is a Bowie-esque, foppish bow queen incarnation who loves Liberace.
How fun. How fun. I love it. See, be yourself. Just, even if it's a completely different persona than who you are, be it.
Yeah.
Just be it. I love it. If people want to hire you or contact you, what's the best way to do that?
Just you can reach out through social media. I have a business line that you can call, or you can email me.
Old-fashioned.
Yeah, it's a Google line you can call, or you can email me. But you can just reach out to me through social media. It's fine. And I love creating new looks and just wonderful people. So hey,
I love it. Celebrate yourself. Call Midori. Reach out to her. Get her help, ask her questions, just say hi. And if you have any questions about real estate in New Orleans, then contact me, and you can reach out anywhere you are watching this video. So,
Midori. Vogue behind you.
Thank you, yes, too.
Do arm poses.
Thank you.
Bye.
So much.
Well, thank you.
For sitting down and doing this.
Yay.
I really appreciate you.
Thanks
you.
a lot.
You're
Thanks
welcome.
for having me.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.